Hi, welcome back to Burning River Bushcraft. I'm out here today doing a cold weather overnighter to test out the Onewind hammock underquilt protector. So this is January 18th. It's about 30 degrees right now, not too bad. It's been snowing all day, kind of windy, and it's supposed to get down to the 20s tonight. So I thought what better chance to test out the Onewind underquilt. Now I'd got this underquilt recently, haven't got a chance to try it out yet. So in addition to trying out the underquilt tonight, I'm going to be trying out this new product. This is an underquilt protector. So if this is the kind of thing you like to see, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified of my latest, and leave a comment in the comment box below. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at Burning River Bushcraft. I teach outdoor classes as well at outdoorcore.com. So the initial setup of the underquilt and the overnighter is going to be in a separate video. We're going to be setting up the underquilt protector, and I'll probably give you my thoughts of it in the morning. So the underquilt protector is a pretty darn small package. This is like way smaller than a poncho. It's maybe 5 inches long, pretty compact. This is something that you're definitely not going to notice if you carry this on a regular basis with your hammock camping gear. So your bedding is a critical piece of equipment for you, especially in cold weather. You're always going to want to protect your sleeping bag, your blanket, your top quilt, or your underquilt. So the purpose of this is, its main purpose is going to be to protect the underquilt itself. Now this is kind of a nylon type material. When water hits it or when snowflakes are hitting it right now, it just does kind of just slide right off it. But it's best to give it an extra layer of protection, and that's going to be the point of this. With a hammock, you're always going to be getting cold on the bottom first. So that's going to be convection from the wind coming through. The underquilt like this just gives you a lot of dead space. This is designed to not let that happen. Also, this time of year, I set up my tarps just as low as possible. I set my ridge line up very low to myself. I bring the sides down, and I try to give myself as much protection as possible. For tonight's camp out, once I get this whole thing set up, I'm going to set my tarp up high, very, very high, almost in a summer setting. I'm going to be relying on the underquilt protector to stop the wind. So I'm going to give myself 2 layers. I'm going to have this plus the underquilt and the blanket that snaps in as a combo. I'm going to be relying on that exclusively to stop the wind on this windy cold night. So I don't have a Onewind hammock yet. This is set up with a Trek light, and this underquilt is the blanket combo. So there is actually 2 layers here. You can probably see it better from here. So I can unsnap the blanket, use it for a top layer in the summer. If I get to the midpoint, you know, spring, fall, where I need an underquilt but don't quite need as warm an underquilt as this, I can snap it apart, and it's all gathered in here nice and tight. So I'm going to pull the protector out. And you can see this is similar to like a rain poncho. And I don't know how well, yeah, that shows up. It's got a nice weave to it. So that's always a good thing, especially anything that's susceptible to wind. If I was to snag this on something, or if you don't have your hammock tensioned properly, or something breaks over the night and the whole suspension and all falls right to the ground, I would hate to poke a stick in this thing and then the whole thing be trashed just because of that. With this nice weave, I'm pretty sure a rip or a hole would not really tend to run. So the setup seems to be pretty straightforward. I've got these hooks, and I'm just going to put this right on my line. I'm going to come under, do the same thing on the opposite side. There we go. So because this is lightweight, everything on here is kind of small, and it's sized appropriately, but when your hands are cold like mine are right now, this is not the easiest thing to work with. I'm going to stretch this out to the other side and hook it up the exact same way. So now to tighten this up on the side, it's got a different style buckle than I've seen with the other Onewind stuff. This, you squeeze it, and it seems completely adequate. All right, so I got the ends pretty decent. Now we can see how much room I've got here. So I would think this would work with a lot of different applications. So I know they make like a 12-foot hammock and like an 8-foot ultralight. So now I've got shock cord on both ends. Instead of making all my adjustment here, I'm going to go down and do the same on both. So I'm going to split it a little bit. But we see right away how this brings it right up. There's with it off, and there it is, all nice and tight. So here it is, pretty darn tight. I like this. It because the underquilt is a combo, so because it snaps in, a lot of times there's a gap or a flap or something, and with the lines and the elastic and stuff, you can choke it in and check it pretty well. And this is not the correct hammock, so there's another clip that I can't utilize. But this underquilt protector kind of just holds everything together. I do kind of like that aspect of it. Now, setup on none of this stuff is that long, and my hands are like freezing, but I'm shooting a video, so I got to take some pictures and screw around, and you know, it's not as fast of a process. And you can see already what I'm going to be dealing with tonight. So definitely going to be windproof. As far as protecting the underquilt, I don't know that it's going to be that much of an issue, especially if you camp with a tarp and you utilize your tarp properly. As long as you're good with your sleeping gear and you're not throwing it on the ground and stuff, it really shouldn't be that much of an issue. I think protecting it from the elements is what I'm after with this. I'm pretty careful with my sleeping gear. Well, most of my stuff I'm pretty darn hard on, but my sleeping bag and my blankets and stuff, that is my lifeline. Especially this time of year, it's going to be getting dark at like 5 o'clock. So, you're looking at a 14-hour night, and you do not want to be doing that if you just haphazardly throw your blanket down in the snow. So I think this will work as a protector. Obviously, it's almost like having a poncho wrapped around your sleep gear, almost kind of like a bivvy in the air, essentially. But it's blocking the wind is going to be the main thing I'm after, especially tonight. So the underquilt protector doesn't really add or subtract anything from getting in or out of the hammock that I've noticed. There's just a lot going on with it now. You've got a hammock, you've got the blanket and the underquilt snapped together, and now you've got the protector as well. So you don't want to just casually look back and think you're in the hammock and lean all the way back, because you're going to be hitting the ground real quick if that's the case. So the test here, once we get in, it doesn't really change anything. This is the underquilt protector is really, you don't even know it's there. Now I do have to make sure everything's tucked in nice, but again, I have the incorrect hammock with this. Right here, this is a attachment point for the underquilt to the hammock itself if I had the Onewind, which I will, I just don't have it yet. So with that attached, it's going to keep the sides up without me pulling them up. I'm losing light here pretty quick, and I still need to get my tarp up. I'm going to put my tarp up super high like I mentioned, because I want to test the underquilt and the underquilt protector and give it as good a test as possible. That's why I waited for a snowy, windy night, and I thought I'd come out here and give it a whirl. Tomorrow morning, I'll just cut back in and give you my overall thoughts of the underquilt protector. If you want to see the overnight and the underquilt video, I'll put a link in the description of that below. But I got work to do, and the sun is, I can't even say the sun's setting. The sun's not even really up anymore. So I'm going to get this all done, and then I'll catch you in the morning. So I'm just breaking down camp right now from the overnighter. The underquilt protector did its job. I left everything high. I left my tarp way high just to test it, to see if it's stopping the wind, which it did. Right, whatever the line of the protector was, I could feel the wind brush across my face. So under normal settings, normal circumstances, I would have dropped my tarp down and I'd have been probably warmer actually. But I was testing myself out and testing out the gear, so it all worked out. Actually, the way I treated this, they make like a winter sock that encapsulates the whole hammock, and that probably would have better application for what I was trying last night. So there's not much to it. It doesn't weigh much, and it just protects it and gives less area for the wind to get under here. You can close off the ends. You can see here you can see the ends here where it's actually a blanket and an underquilt snapped together. And you can bunch it up so that you don't get wind and stuff in here, but this protector just gives you an extra layer of that. Keeps everything nice and tight. I'm glad I had it last night. It is something that's pretty small, doesn't take up a lot of space in your pack. If you're into the system like this and you've got the underquilt, you probably should get the underquilt protector as well. So if you like to see that other video on the quilt itself, check that video out. But until next time, this has been Jamie Boggs with Burning River Bushcraft. See you soon.